Welcome back. The headliners continue here in the CNBC-TV18 studios at the India AI Impact Summit. It is my pleasure to welcome into our studios Dario Amodei of Anthropic. Dario, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. It's great to have you here in India. You know, you've been talking about the energy, the palpable energy that you've been soaking in here in India. Let me start by asking you about the significance of the India market for a company like Anthropic.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I mean, I think the way we think about it is, Anthropic is a company that tries to work with other companies, right? We're not primarily a consumer company, we're primarily an enterprise company. And so we succeed when our customers succeed. And those customers can be individual developers, they can be startups, they can be large enterprises. And all of those exist to a really great degree in India. I've gone to events for individual builders. I've gone to events for startups who are just starting out, and of course we've met with both here and on my previous trip some of the biggest companies in India. And in all the cases, our philosophy here is how can we work together in a way that not just benefits Anthropic but also benefits the companies we're working with. Right? Many of the companies don't have as much AI expertise, but they have a network in India. They have distribution. They know the Indian market. They have expertise that's complementary to us.
Dario, what we've seen starting the 6th of February in the Indian stock market is a bloodbath. The Indian IT services companies have taken a large knock, really on account of what Anthropic is doing with Claude. Now, are you a bad dream or a nightmare for the IT services companies?
We certainly don't want to be. I mean, the stock market can move for all sorts of reasons, but I think our intent is that if companies work together with us in like a positive way, they can gain a lot and we can gain a lot as well, right? We're not trying to like replace replace existing industries like.
But can you?
Hope,
you're not trying to, but can you?
I mean, again, there's different ways things can go. And our hope is that we can work with these companies. We build models, we build products on top of those models, but also companies can further build on top of those products. They can distribute those products. They can, I think of it as Lego building blocks, right? Like, we're not saying like, okay, we put together a few Lego blocks and that replaces everything. We're saying, okay, here are a few Lego blocks and you can continue to build. You can continue to extend on them and, build things that make sense for a particular industry or for the Indian market in particular. And, I think that's the vision we're going for. Now, inevitably, I think there's going to be some disruption, not related to any particular company or particular industry, but related to the technology in general because it's moving so fast. But what we aspire to, what we try to make happen is for there to be more examples of us working together with companies and enhancing the joint value than we produce together. Then there is disruption, although inevitably there will be some disruption.
Inevitably there will be some disruption, but more partnerships. You've announced one with Infosys. Would you believe that more partnerships in India with enterprise customers like Infosys on the cards?
Yeah, we want to work with essentially, we want to work with essentially, all the companies in India. So, we're going to aim to get partnerships with, all the household names that you could think of. They're in different stages of discussion, and Infosys was the one that was announced just yesterday. We're very, very, very excited for the partnership. I visited Infosys the last time I came to India in October, and of course I was I just did a fireside chat at the Impact Summit with Nandan, chairman of Infosys, but we're excited to work with all the companies to again to work with them in a way that allows them to grow with us.
Dario, you've been calling out the risks related to AI, not just the disruption for the jobs market, but issues related to security and so on and so forth. But let's address the jobs question, because you believe that 50% of the entry-level jobs may no longer exist over the next 3 years. But there are others like Meredith Whittaker at Signal who believes that it's not so much elimination of jobs as much as it is displacement or an invisibilization almost of jobs at this point in time. How much do you believe that we're likely to see an elimination? How much of it is going to be displacement? And how much of AI washing are we really seeing when we talk about job losses today?
Yeah, so, I think it's really hard to predict. The economy and economics is hard to predict. So it's hard to say, will jobs go away, or will they be downskilled, or will they be moved in kind of a different direction? So the exact form that it takes, I don't know. What I do know is there will be potentially a lot of disruption because the technology is moving so fast. What is different about AI than previous technologies, it's not any different in that, there's some things humans could do before that, this new technology is now able to do, that's able to replace parts of it or all of it. What's different is it's moving quickly and it's broad because AI is a general technology. And so what we need to do, I think, more so than trying to figure out exactly what form the disruption will take, is help people to adapt. I will give an example. I can see the day when, even within, say, Anthropic, we need less software engineers than we have today, because the models are better at automating software engineering end to end. But we've been thinking hard about, what are jobs that those people could do? And, one thing is, there's this notion of the forward deployed engineer.
Yeah.
Someone who has technical skills, but who works with customers to enable technical systems and technical solutions with those customers. And as Anthropic grows and has more customers, there's going to be a need for a lot of them because the number of customers we need to talk to is large. And so that's one possible example where one thing goes away, but another door opens to take its place. And I can't guarantee that more jobs will be created than are destroyed. We have to make that true. We have to figure out how to make that true, and it's going to be a challenge, but the earlier we see it, the more we're honest about it, the better the chance we can address it.
I want to talk about the agentic revolution that everyone's sort of all in on at this point in time, and again, you call out the risks, and you believe that it's probably inevitable that we will start to see selfhood as far as these agents are concerned. Now, are we prepared for that future? You're stress testing agents at this point in time, and there are some pretty concerning things that have come up. Are we prepared to deal with that?
Yeah, so I would say things are going too fast and we are not yet prepared. And we need to ramp up, for all that. Every time we release a model, we have 200 pages of analysis of these various stress tests that you mentioned, where we put the model in extreme situations, and see if it lies, if it blackmails, if it tries to gain power. It does that if you push it enough. I would think of it more as like, you're developing a car and you do a crash test of the car and you say, okay, well, let's make the car go really fast and let's put it on an icy road and let's make it turn a lot. And then, then you kind of see these horrific crashes. So these are not things that are happening in the real world, but there are things that could happen as the models get stronger and as they're put in extreme situations. And so we do everything we can to test for and to steer the models to not display these behaviors. But because progress is going so fast, I think we actually need to up our efforts even more than we have before to make sure that we are able to characterize and reduce these behaviors, and it is an area of concern to me.
Well, let's talk about the real world. IPO in 2026, working towards that?
I would say, our focus is on trying to serve our customers as best we can, build our models as best we can. As we've seen, financing in this field, requires a large amount of money, and there's different directions to get that money, but we don't have any definite plans for exactly when we'll do or not do
You've
something.
just raised a significant amount of money, $30 billion. Is that enough runway at this point in time for the kind of growth plans that you have?
I mean, the technology is really, because the revenue is growing so fast, the needs for building data centers a year or two ahead of time are really great. And so, I would say, strange as it sounds, 30 billion helps with that, but the capital needs of this industry are actually, even in excess of that.
Making money. When are we going to companies start to make money?
Yeah, so, the economics of this field are interesting. What I would say is actually that every model we build, so, you imagine the company builds different AI models, right? Different versions of it. Every model that we build, if we take the amount that it costs to train the model and the amount that it costs to serve the model to customers, and subtract all of that from the revenue that the model gets, every model that we've made is actually profitable. The issue is that we're spending more money to train the next model. And so I think companies, including ours, will be profitable at the moment when we're no longer scaling up, the next model so much. So at some point, things will reach some kind of equilibration. And then I think us and perhaps the other companies in the space will be profitable.
I want to end by asking you about something that's in the news, the possibility of Anthropic being blacklisted by the Pentagon. Have you been in conversation with the authorities there? Is there an update on that you can share with us?
So we've been deploying our models for U.S. national security for quite a while. And I think our basic position on it is, we've offered the models in kind of a very wide range of, for a very wide range of use cases. And I think the main areas of concern that we have are, fully autonomous weapons where there isn't a human in the loop, and domestic mass surveillance of Americans. So those are the two areas where we have some concern, and we want to make sure the models are not used in that way. And we continue to have productive discussions about how to use our models for almost every use case. But while taking into account, I think these red lines are fairly important for making sure that AI is used in a way that's compatible with democracy and in line with the culture of our company. We're just attempting to make sure that we deploy our technology in a way that's compatible with and advances democratic values. The whole point is to defend democracy, and we continue to have productive discussions around this, and we're very excited to help national security of the United States and other democracies.
Dario, I'll end by asking you, 2026, the breakthrough that you expect to see.
I don't know that it'll be just one thing, but I do think that the models will continue to get more powerful. They'll continue to get better at a wide variety of tasks. We're going to see a bunch of abilities. The models, I think, may be able to do end-to-end tasks much more than they could before in software engineering. We'll see progress in finance. We'll see progress in biomedical. We'll see progress in cyber, which I think will bring some safety and security issues. But I don't think there's going to be any one unlock. There's just a lot of momentum, and the models are getting better across the board.
Dario, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by here in our CNBC-TV18 studios at the Impact Summit. We look forward to seeing much more of you here in India and hearing more from you about the partnerships that you intend to ink here in India as well. Appreciate your time. We are going to take a break, but the headliners will continue. That was Dario Amodei of Anthropic. We're right back with you after this.